Don't worry, friends, we've all been there. Savage enemies charging headlong as your raggedy group of soldiers and companions dig in beside you. The steel and gleaming armor of the enemy striking in contrast to your stinking animal hides and leather jerkins. Companions are one of the most powerful agents you can employ in Calradia, but there is a bewildering amount of choices you can make. Spear and shield? Or maybe we give them some throwing axes? Where do we use them in the army? How on earth do we keep these guys alive? In this new series, we'll cover all of these questions and we'll help you power level your future companions. Alright friends, welcome back again to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related, and we are dedicated to helping you guys get better with the 1.3 version update. Now, the reason I'm doing this particular guide today on companions is both for two reasons. It's been requested a lot, but also some of the companion guides on the channel are seriously dated. Not only the quality of the video production, but also just some of the advice. We've gotten better at Bannerlord a year or two after those guides were made, and so we're going to jump into today's episode and talk about my modern philosophy, right, on companions. There is a philosophy to companions, and I will explain. Now, this is actually at the end of a series of gnarly battles where we power leveled our companions, right? We oftentimes get asked, you know, how do you have companions on the channel that are level 22, level 25? That's a wife. Sometimes wives come a little higher level, but it's very common for us to have level 24, 25 companions, and people are, you know, they're curious. How the heck do you do that? Well, ironically, the answer is tactics, and I will explain more. You will see the battles because I'm going to essentially take you back in time to the live narration of the last half hour, give or take, or battles where we used our companions efficiently to destroy the enemy. We used tactics and we used them as specialists, as you shall see. Now let's talk about companions briefly. You get about 10 of them in the average campaign. Depending on your clan tier, this is a fairly late campaign. It's about 4 years in, 5 years in. We have the maximum of 9 here, and then you typically have a wife or a husband. That means you typically have 8, 9, maybe 10 companions that you're going to be using in battle. And I say it depends. You might have a governor or two. A lot of guys are like, well, how many governors should I have? And I see save games that people send in the Disaster of War series. They have like 5, 6, 7 companions as governors. They have a little bit of value as governors, but if you're choosing companions correctly, I think most of them will be attached to your army. They're good killing weapons, and of course, once you understand how to level them and how to use them, they become highly proficient killers, right? Equivalent or better to units like a legionary, partly because, of course, you can put very specific weapons on them. Now, you have 9 companions and a wife. I typically make 7 or 8 warrior captains, and what that means is, of course, they're leading a division within the army. I might have a specialist or two. In fact, she's one of our specialists. Specialists are party specialists that help you in this screen here. This is our party, and you have this gal here is our scout. The reason I did that, she's got 194 scouting skill, and you could see all the effects that she delivers. RTS camera limited by scouting. That must be related to the RTS mod. You could see that she's got good scouting skill, and a lot of those scouting perks affect the party, but not all. And this is an important thing for people to understand. Not every single unit, the perks that you assign as a specialist affects the whole party. She's right here. And basically, the easiest way to show you is just to click this. Let's see if any of these. Perfect. This is a good example. The personal, of course, affects them, right? So she gets, if I choose this perk, she gets staggered less. In other words, a horse runs into her and she keeps on shooting less on foot. That affects her only. The captain one obviously affects the army group that she's leading. In the combat screen before the battle starts, you get to assign your captains, and we will talk about that at length. This perk, and it's the lower of the two, they don't make this very clear. This one on the left refers to the top one. This one on the right, or on the bottom here, refers to this right one. It's sort of confusing, and I might have confused you more there. Let me just make it easy. The captain is this one, +5 armor to all the troops in the army. And the personal one, she gets a little bit of armor herself, right? Now the party leader one, this is vital to understand. if I give her this minus 20% food consumption in the party, and she was leading a specialist division where that perk supposedly would affect the army, it does not, because it says party leader. She would have to be party leader for it to affect the army. Now, why is that important? Because there are still guys running around. In fact, I did this for like 6 months, thinking that this medicine skill, if you get a healer type and level this medicine skill and you get all these extra hit points from this perk called Minister of Health, it does not affect the party. It doesn't affect your party from this screen here, right? When you go to the party screen, it will only affect the party that they are leading. Now, it has value in that case, right? You can assign that person their own army, but you can't have it affect your whole army. So say you have an army of 300 or 400 troops like we do, it won't affect all your troops. Your main character must develop that medicine skill. That's part of the reason you frequently on the channel see us advocating, pushing steward, medicine, engineering, intelligence. This is probably the single most powerful branch of skills for your character. If you don't do anything else, do these three, because then you will be great at siege, excellent at medicine skill, and have all kinds of perks for your army from the steward skill. Just to cover that in that extra detail there. Now, so I have these specialists, and they are true specialists. I want to talk about that. Let's just take one of these meatheads, for example. I've got 2 or 3 infantry captains. These guys' sole job is to boost the infantry division that they're in. If they get kills too, that's wonderful. But their main job is to provide bonuses, all kinds of perks to the army, plus swing speed to infantry, stuff like that. They get these perks from these combat skills. And so we have specialized them mostly in 3 areas. A lot of times you'll get some of these companions from a tavern, and they will have perk points already assigned. What you really want is you want the lowest level companions as possible, which I know seems counterintuitive, but that means you get to customize everything. I wish I could get rid of this. I wish I could take these attribute points from cunning and move them up to some of these skills, right? He's never going to be doing any of this stuff. This guy, any of the skills you see that he's obtained down here are probably from quests, right? Because he's certainly not scouting or anything like that. So you really want to specialize your companions, and you want to think about it ahead of time. I basically like 2 or 3 infantry captains, 2, 3, 4 maybe archer captains, crossbow captains, maybe a horse archer captain, and then a cavalry captain. We've got a total dipshit leading our cavalry. He just, looks like he's got blood spattered on his face. He can't even wash himself after battle. His job basically is to lead the cavalry, and frankly, we're not real thrilled about him. He's kind of a disappointing. He seems like he gets killed every battle. I don't know. Sometimes it just seems like units are cursed, and this guy definitely seems like one of those. Now, we're not going to cover every single perk in this episode. It's just hundreds of perks. You can see here I have a lot of characters that need perks. What we're going to do is make another episode where I spend 15, 20 minutes and I walk through and I talk about perks. This is why I'm taking this. This is why I'm taking that. I'll be honest, if you want to know more about perks, I'm going to send you guys away from my channel. It's not that I don't want the community to be vibrant here. It's I recognize other people have done a better job than I can do. Head on over to Strat Gaming Guide. I don't know the guy. I'm not affiliated. I don't get money for saying that. I just want to tell you guys, if you want information on perks, he's got all kinds of databases, and I'm smart enough to know what I don't know, or more accurately, what I don't want to try to do, and that is eclipse what he's already done for perks. Now, maybe with the release of the DLC, I will release a full perk guide and have something sort of equivalent to what he did, but probably not, right? I basically understand my forte, my core competencies in Bannerlord is combat, character development, and I'm going to stick to that. I'll still talk about perks, but not very much today, right? I'm actually not gonna worry about all these perks that were assigned here. I am gonna finish this off by talking a little bit of philosophy, and then what we're gonna do is actually go back in time, because this is after a series of battles. You can see this arrow here of this army, and then it ends because they immolated on our force here. You'll basically be able to get to see what happened. We had a series of different battles where we used our companions in a savage manner, and hopefully that is very beneficial to you guys. Tactics are the key to power leveling companions, right? You have these companions and you're looking at them, you're like, level 24, level 25. How the fuck? Because we're using them intelligently with tactics. If you F1, F3, it's almost impossible to level your tactics because your characters run up to the line, your infantry get maybe a kill, and then they're smashed by a huge enemy Zerg, and that's that. we're going to also specialize on these 2 skills with companions in campaigns, and I'll explain why. Athleticism is one of the most powerful perks in the game. Not only do they get all kinds of benefits here, moving faster, healing faster, your armor's lighter, etc., etc. You get these 2 different perk skills at 175 athleticism and 200, right? And 200? I think it's 200. Once you get there, you get an extra endurance point, right? Which makes your character even more athletic. And then you get to choose either vigor or control. Well, that's enormously powerful, right? This is super, super valuable. And this is, to me, just... it's an automatic thing that you want to level endurance for those perks, right? You get other things as well, but those are enormously powerful perks for your companions. They only get an attribute point every 4 levels. Here we're getting 2 just because we worked on their endurance, right? Now, I'll choose this one real quick. I told you I wasn't going to do any of these. We'll choose this one real quick. He's an infantryman. We have been leveling his athleticism and his throwing. We want him to soon move into the front lines. In other words, we have been pushing these 2 skills because these 2 skills you can use and still stay alive. If you're charging in with your infantry, it doesn't really matter. Even if you come in on a flank or with tactics, they still get killed, right? So you want to use your units at range while you're leveling up. And then once they have sufficient levels, several things are going to be different, right? First, they're going to have better armor, right? Your main character is going to have all kinds of perks and stuff like that. You're going to be able essentially to send them in with a much higher rate of success into melee. You'll give him a really nice weapon, some high-end armor, and of course he's going to have all of these perks, throwing skill, and then you'll also be able to start really pushing his one-handed skill or whatever your choosing is. You can do 2-handed characters. In the next episode, I will talk more about character loadout. We're going to talk about what is effective, what is not, right? Some weapons, characters, the AI just uses like shit. Part of the reason you see us focusing on ranged is very simple. We know very accurately, very well, that the AI does not do particularly well in hand-to-hand or on a horse, but they throw javelins like Achilles and shoot arrows like Legolas, right? They're hyper accurate, just like the troops on the battlefield. And so we're going to level our companions, even though this is a tank, right? This is going to be a warrior. We're still leveling his throwing and his athleticism, right? I don't typically give tanks bow skill, but you can do that, right? Because then also they help in siege, and of course they have a higher survivability. When the enemy's legionnaires are clashing into your line, your guy's shooting, and then maybe he charges into battle against tier 3 units later in the battle. And guess what he does? Right? He smashes them to pieces. Now I said I'd choose this one. I'm actually going to choose vigor, right? We are going to start power leveling these skills. Here's another nice little advantage. Because we're not really putting him into melee very often, his learning rate's going to be really fast. So that once he does start to fight in melee, this number here, hopefully we can get a perk point or 2 thrown on there, and he'll be, 7, 8, 9. He gets like 2 or 3 skill points per kill, right? So he's ultra power leveling. First we keep him alive, then we teach him how to kill. All right, so we do have a couple governors, or more accurately, a future clan leader. Let's look at this spice vendor gal. This is also something that you want to plan for later in a campaign. You notice she has very weak combat skills. Not none, right? We're teaching her a little bit of crossbow here. She's got a ton of perk points we're going to have to cover in that episode. But we've been focused on these areas. That's because your companion armies, right? Your player clan armies, once they start running around, they will have a tiny army if you assign dipshits like this and give him a kingdom, or not a kingdom, give him a fief within your kingdom. He will immediately cancel all the sanitation efforts. He will overtax the people. He will do all kinds of, he will build unnecessary guard towers in bad places. Why? Because he's stupid. Right? This guy's, he's got 2 intelligence. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. You don't want to design these guys or use these guys as future clan leaders. Develop some intelligent characters, in this case, spice vendor. That means she's also going to do some trade and shit. This doesn't really matter that much. I would prefer these 3 skills, just like the main character. If she's good at engineering, she can go out and siege, right? And she's actually going to be successful at siege. Unlike that dipshit blood axe, this guy will for sure fuck it up. He'll probably spend 4 weeks sieging a castle while his whole kingdom is taken over. You get the idea, right? You want to have your intelligent stewards be future player clans, and for the most part, you want to kind of ignore their offensive abilities. Right? You want them to be specialists, just like I said before. All right, so a couple, 3 archer captains. Our wife is actually crossing her skills. Sometimes wives come as higher level. You can see she's got bow skill, crossbow, and throwing. When this gal is in charge of a division, she's giving that division all kinds of perks, and we're still trying to level her endurance. You notice this? In fact, let's put that perk point right there. Why? Because we're aiming for that endurance attribute. Incidentally, this becomes self-fulfilling prophecy, right? We get that endurance perk, 12 points? 12 athleticism points from now, and she should get it now that she's up to 5. And then she's going to get this control attribute point, right? We'll probably continue to boost her bow and crossbow skill. That way, she continues to kill on the battlefield. Now, I'm just going to cover one of these real quick, again, because it's personal, captain. This one is not really well understood, but basically being staggered as an archer especially is very bad. Some people might be tempted to say, let's go faster here. Let's make the division move faster. I would prefer that she didn't get staggered and the troops didn't get staggered. This affects all of the crossbow in her division, right? This is just an example where you want to think through the perks. So she's going to be in charge of a division maybe with 50 to 80 crossbow. If I add this perk, see how it says captain, every crossbow has a 50% less chance of being staggered. So they get hit with an enemy arrow. If you don't have this perk, they're like, oh shit, I got hit. Am I bleeding? And that whole time they reload their crossbow and maybe they get hit again. They don't even shoot. You give them that perk and they just stoically keep reloading their crossbow and kill the enemy. All right, so specializing, right? We've got archers. And notice, this is an archer, right? This is a dipshit looking archer in our campaign. We have been power leveling his athleticism. Now, he came with riding skill and scouting and tactics. I didn't mess with these much, but we've been power leveling these 2 skills here. Now, admittedly, we've been able to power level some of these companions with the RTS mod. In battles where the main character goes down, when I've used the RTS mod, I've been able to take over some of these guys. And of course, if you take over, a guy like this, I'll get 30 kills in a battle where he would get 2 and get dropped. So there is an advantage that the RTS mod, you could basically say we've had almost an exploitive advantage with the RTS mod. But these principles that I've talked about here in this episode will work even on the console. You just won't be able to control these guys after they get dropped. Now we've got an attribute point here. We'll just assign this to bow skill, but I think I've rambled on long enough about companions. You want to pick specialists? I will talk more in the future about which companions to not bother with. I don't bother with smiths at all, right? If I get smiths, it's by accident. I want warriors. I want archers. I like a scout because, like I said, then I can take the main character and just completely ignore his scouting skill, right? What that does is it allows me to power level his other stats like that. I have usually 1 specialist unit. Every once in a while, I'll get a specialist engineer because most of their perks also apply. But you can see here, our main character does those 3 roles better than anybody else. All right, we're going to jump to these battles now. Hopefully you enjoy, and we will continue to have guides on companions here as you guys continue to ask for this, and hopefully this is beneficial to you. Now, it's going to be really interesting for you guys to watch this gameplay with these companions, because it's probably unlike you've seen companions used before. And I think once you start to emulate it, it's definitely going to help your companions power level in your own campaign. All right, let's get to those battles. Don't actually want to do too many of these perk points, but after that big battle at the bridge, I think it'll be good for us to have some characters doing a little bit better. We want to do a whole bunch of perk points at some point or other. We will definitely talk extensively about perks, and I will probably do a 15 or 20 minute segment on perks. I think that was a Sturgian army. Yep, there's a Sturgian army right here. Perfect, right? This is exactly the kind of army we want to farm with these companions. We're still healing up after that gnarly bridge battle. Just got to slide in behind her so she can't scurry into her castle here. And we've got her, right? She's cut off. No retreat, Sturgian scum. No quarter for the craven, right? And the Empress is sieging us in the south. Unfortunately, that's too far away. We're not going to be able to get down there. She's got a massive army, too. Man, that's a big change with 1.3. They don't fuck around with army size. I've seen 3,500 so far, 2,200. It's a little bit like the Strength in AI mod. Now, this is absolutely perfect. We're going to power level some companions here. The bridge battle is pretty clean, but against this kind of an army of Sturgians, we might not suffer a single companion casualty here. We've got the RTS mod loaded, so we may have to save every 20 minutes or so. It's still a little bit unstable, but we've got plenty of daylight here, and what a perfect venue to power level. Now here's what we're gonna do. Let's see, 4, 5, and 6. Let's basically make 3 Delta Force divisions of companions. They're going to have other units in them. We want them to have a little bit of help. Also, if it goes bad, we want to be able to support them a little bit with some other troops, kite and whatnot. We'll give them a cavalry line. So there's 2 companions in the 4th. There's about 6, 7 companions in the 5th, and then 2 more in the 6th, the skirmishers. And we're going to have a flanking action here by our little Delta Force. Shit, I need a horse. Give me a horse. And we'll see what these Sturgians do. If they attack us, that's the best case scenario, but because they ran from us, there's a good chance that they're going to take a defensive position here. It doesn't really matter. We're going to be able to surround and mangle them anyways, and I will walk you through this, right? We'll continue to talk about essentially power leveling companions. Some guys will find this superfluous, unnecessary, and for sure, you don't have to do any of this, right? Your companions can continue to get 1 kill in battle if you're content with that. But companions are hard to level, right? They just don't fight very well. I've talked about it before. The AI doesn't do very well with infantry. If you watch companions like in slow-mo, and maybe we'll do that for one of these episodes. In fact, we need to do an episode that covers weapons. What weapons I like to give companions. There are some weapons that they don't use well, and other ones that they're beastly with. So we may cover that as well. But most people, they grow like an affinity with their companions, right? You're playing a campaign for 2 weeks or a couple months. You get to know these guys. It sucks when they get killed. And you want to give them, you know, the best possible shot. They almost become like cousins or children of us, right? All us virgins playing our video games. Hopefully it doesn't hit home with anybody. You know, we're going to continue to try to develop companions because they matter, because it's part of the game. It's part of the role playing. In a really long campaign, you grow damn attached to them, right? When they get killed, like the Epic Valandian campaign, some of the companions are Patreon members, right? They're supporters. Some of them are actually characters that we brought in from their game. It's pretty cool. I was able to import directly into our Epic campaign guys' characters. And you grow attached to them, right? Even whether you're watching somebody's YouTube channel or your own campaign. Now what we're doing here is putting the bulk of our forces just facing the enemy. We want them skirmishing, right? We've got some archers, a cavalry line down there. I probably won't talk too much about what divisions are doing what down there, because what you need to know is we have a cav division here and 3 divisions, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and we're just looking for a flanking opportunity. The Sturgians are mostly infantry. They have very few cavalry. It's virtually the perfect army to farm. There's a bunch of mediocre troops. They've got some lords that are kind of, we'll have to watch them a little bit. But while the rest of our army sort of holds the enemy's attention, we move Delta Force in here, right? It's O-Dark 30, and we're going to blow them up from behind. Now this cav line is here to repel enemy cav charges, and I'm going to do my best to sort of kill loose cavalry here, because they'll kill your companions, right? The spear to the face or a javelin at a high rate of speed still kills them. Now we've got our archers. 2 different archer divisions, the 4th and 5th, and then the 6th skirmisher division behind the enemy, right? So the enemy's effectively surrounded. Now we're fast, right? We can move if we have to. If they charge us, we'll back off. I don't think they're gonna though, right? Their attention is being held from the other side. We've got archers that will open fire here. And this just looks like a perfect little proving ground for our units here, right? Now this cavalry is here strictly to draw attention. I'm just bringing them as protection, and now our units can move in behind them and start lobbing javelins. Now watch the upper right. I'm not going to be able to very well. We just lost that dipshit cavalry commander. Man, how many times do I mention that guy? He's a dipshit. He gets killed instantly every battle. He must just be a bad luck dipshit. But our archers are going to start getting kills. There's a skirmisher kill. Right, you guys can just watch the upper right. I got to focus here. But we are going to just lob javelins and shoot arrows into the back of this enemy rank, right? They're sort of pathetically charging us here with lords. Looks like they're charging. That's actually good, right? Because that means we're going to be able to use this ridge. A lot of our archers can't really shoot them from where they are. So we're going to move them now down, basically following the enemy, right? Like a bunch of vultures waiting their flesh of doomed men's flesh, right? They're just waiting for it. So on the other side, we've got plentiful forces to handle them, but I don't want them killing the enemy, right? I want them playing defense while our little companions shoot the enemy in the back. Now, we'll probably have 20, 30 casualties here, but that's okay because they're going to be replaceable troops. It's our companions we're trying to level in this episode. Right now, it's still an effective strategy because the squares are going to hold out well while the archers work. And we have archers behind the enemy and skirmishers. So we're still going to do just fine in this battle. It's not like we're going to lose. But that's a lot more death, right, already than you would normally see in one of our battles. As long as I can keep most of these companions up, though, I'll be content with that. Right, help them with this little infantry charge. And now they're basically free just to shoot the enemy in the back while the enemy's distracted by the squares. Look at that shit. They're just pigs to the slaughter. And your companions can't miss. Even your dipshits that have like 100 bow skill, they can't miss there. And you can watch the death span, right? There's going to be so-and-so killed a unit, so-and-so. There's one of our guys. What's this guy here? There's no little militia being in our elite archer division, right? So Mulam the fish is one of our companions, right? You guys get the idea. Our companions are very safe, firing downhill into the back of the enemy, and they're racking up kills. You can also see the skill points, right? In the lower left, they're just racking up skill points. Athleticism, gained riding, bow skill. It's just fizzing down there because they're just smoking the enemy. And for the most part, these units are undamaged. They're not even getting attacked, right? They're just completely flanking freely, having a blast. It's a beautiful thing. Our wife gained a level. And the enemy dies, right? They still end up routing. In fact, both of our squares held out that whole time. So much for wildlings being weak. Huh? They did pretty well. Could smoke a few of these Sturgians at the end of this battle just to make them rout. But you guys get the idea. Now, we're going to do a series of battles here in a row. Hopefully, we can find 2 or 3 battles in a couple hours, and I'll do a little bit of editing. But it's kind of the perfect setup because we don't have a huge army. Bigger armies will definitely attack us. And look at this shit, right? Look at how many kills our companions got. What did they get, 100 kills? 9 here, and look at the skill points, right? 4 and 6. You know, I should have done like a before and after with that bridge battle especially. They got a ton of kills, right? Between that bridge battle, this battle, and the battles that are to come. Look at they're gaining levels left and right. This is power leveling companions. Now, we'll definitely talk more about how to design characters. In fact, I'll probably make some kind of intro to this episode. I realize we're just sort of playing along here, and I want to explain what we're doing and explain sort of combat philosophy. You have these companions. If you just sort of throw random perk points on them, or worse, if you have them auto-assigned, you will have disaster companions, right? You want to spec them intelligently, and that's something we'll definitely talk about. Wife is gaining levels. We're having babies. Life is good here, right? Now, I don't want to head all the way down to fight Regea. I think in a gigantic battle, it'll be hard to keep our companions alive, right? It'll just be really hard to keep them alive. Now, let's show you another point here, medicine skill. We're working on this gal's medicine skill, right? She's going to be a future clan leader for us. So one of the things we're going to do is make sure that she has plenty of injured people to work on. So I like to go into the army. She's already got a lot of injured people to work on, but I'm going to give her all injured people to work on. It's basically supply and demand, right? She's a healer. I want to give her injured people so that she can work on her skills, right? In fact, we'll take some more healthy characters from her and dump a bunch of injured troops on them. One more way to power level companions. You can do this with Siege too, and we've had an episode already covering how to power level your companions at Siege. Maybe that's something we'll do in the future, but that's another good tip, right? Have your healers power level their healing. Now that way, of course, once she becomes a clan member, and maybe we'll do that for this series, this little side series. Maybe we'll assign her, as a companion or as a player clan. I'm trying to see if any of these are really beneficial in the short term. Here's one right here, right? For sure, our morale is over 70, and so she's going to get extra healing from that, right? And then you can see a lot of these healing perks are going to benefit her more once she's leading a party around. So I don't really want to spend a lot of time on this right now. We'll definitely cover this more at some point or other. We'll do maybe 15 minutes of perks. Although, like I keep on saying, there are other channels that are good for it, right? If you want to learn workshops and the economy in Bannerlord, I'll send you guys over to Lesson 19. If you want to learn more about details about perks, I'll send you over to Strat Gaming Guide, right? There's people that'll help you. Now, this is one of our previous player clans. Despite his terrible mustache, this guy's a badass, right? 220 medicine skill. He's going to have a higher rate of success as a player clan than a lot of the other player clans that typically people will make for a campaign. Now, there's all kinds of Northern Empire fucks here. I would love to fight an army of, 600 Northern Empire forces. You would figure they'd make an army eventually here. This is part of our Botanian campaign, and I think we're at war with 4 or 5 kingdoms. So we're going to have action here. We just have to sort of find it. Guys getting taken prisoner. Amitatis is probably going to fall anyways. I don't think we could save it with 200 and 300, troops. That's probably not a possibility. Now, here we go. What do we got going on here? We got an army forming, 300. Perfect, right? Let's get in their way. Let's make them attack us. That way they have to come to us, and let's power level some companions. Now, they all ran into the castle there like they're afraid of this guy. Of course, this guy is a wrecking ball. This army that we made, it's probably 70% Botanian units. Of course, if you're watching the Botanian campaign, this is a little bit of a spoiler, right? Because this is, I'm trying to say, the 15th episode in a chronological fashion. This is not actually going to be one of the episodes in the Botanian campaign, but we're about 15 episodes into that campaign, and I think I've only published and uploaded about 7 or 8. So maybe I'll put a little spoiler or something in the video description. It doesn't really matter. It's not like there's drama. And how perfect, right? Come on in. Please deliver your corpses right in front of us here. We've got a mediocre bunch of Northern Empire forces that have raised their hand. Yes, student, what would you like to do? We would like to be killed. Come on over, right? We're going to put you in front of we're going to put you guys on YouTube and your carcasses. We're going to broadcast your future carcasses. Now look at this spot here. How perfect is that, right? Some maps are perfect for this, and this is optimal. In fact, I would love to face whatever army that the other Northern Empire army is. Hopefully it's 800 or something. Hopefully it's a little harder challenge, because frankly, this is 0 threat to our army, and we want to kill, right? That's how you're going to level your companions. All right, so let's come up with the strategy here. I want to use that pocket up there because that's easy to protect our units, right? Incredibly, they have enfiladed, elevated fire, right? It's like a mouthful, and it's tasty, right? They're going to be uphill, firing down into the packed enemy ranks, and we're going to make sure that the enemy ranks are packed. I need a horse again. Famous for doing that shit. I gotta get a healthy horse here. We're going to make sure that the enemy's packed so that our companions can shoot the shit out of them, right? We're going to draw the enemy into this valley here, and then we're going to smoke them full of arrows. Now we're going to put the 4th, 5th, and 6th up this hill, and again, we're going to give them a cav division for defense. We're basically going to support them. We may move them around a little bit if they get zerged, but it's a great setup here. In fact, this is an excellent map for destroying the enemy. So I've got 2 different infantry divisions on the other side over there, and we're just going to have them throw a few javelins. But honestly, I want most of the killing being done here by the 4th, 5th, and 6th. That way those companions are leveling up, right? Just like the previous battle. We don't really want our fiend champs and whatnot killing. Get up there. Spread out. I'm not asking. I'm telling you, you bitches, spread out before there's no ale tonight unless you guys spread out. All right, so we've got a Jav Cav division in front of them that's going to repel cavalry attacks. There's a skirmisher division behind them with some companions that are going to chuck javelins into the soon-to-be-dead enemy. And then behind them is the 4th and 5th division, right? This initial wave, I don't mind having a few arrows fly, right? You don't want cavalry spearing and thrashing your units, right? You want to protect your units at the beginning of a battle like this. We're not really going to be able to kill cavalry anyways because they're moving fast. It's a lot of wasted ammo. I don't like using skirmishers on cavalry that's moving because it's very hard to hit. But once they bring their infantry in here, these guys are going to have a killing spree. Right? They're loaded up. Most of our companions have 2 or 3. In some cases, they have 3 stacks of javelins. So 15 to 20 javelins, right? They can throw javelins the whole battle. They're just waiting for the order to kill, and now's about the right time, right? Kill these bitches. They're all stacked up there. Watch the javelins rain in there. And we'll see if any companions get kills. I can kind of watch a little closer here because there's no risk of losing this battle. Here comes the volunteers to be laid on the ground. There's a kill. The archers are killing. we've got the crossbow division just sort of holding fire. That's because they have a lot less ammo. I want to wait for juicy targets, right? All these cavalry, all these infantrymen that are going to bottle up here. Skirmisher just got a kill. There are better landscapes for your skirmishers to get killed, and we'll talk about that. We're probably going to have 2 or 3 of these episodes that demonstrate 4, 5, 6 battles with power leveling tactics for your companions. And there's symbiosis here, right? We're going to win this battle in landscape fashion with tactics, right? I'm just shoving squares into the face of the enemy. That way they're compelled to attack them, while our firing squad fire! Right? These guys are just going crazy up there, dumping rounds into the enemy. The enemy's got, we've got this protected shelf. They can't even see these guys. These guys are literally having the day of their life. All these little pixels, very happy. And the death spam shows it, right? And they're just firing into packed enemy ranks. There's a few little units getting in here. That archer division is a threat, so let's mollify it. Let's shove cavalry into it, and then we'll charge skirmishers through it just to decimate that. I think we'll join them on foot, too. But this battle not only is over, our companions again are racking up kills. It might even be even more dramatic than that last battle, of course, because we have just such a beautiful position to kill from. The death spam is fizzing. The archers here are getting mauled. They're getting shot. They're scattering around trying to survive. Guys are gaining levels. It's beautiful. I love, of course, the leveling is the ultimate sign they're power leveling, when they're literally gaining levels for this stream. Now, I'm not live, but at some point or other, maybe we'll do some of this live, right? This is by far one of the things that people are most curious about, is how do you level, how do you build good companions in Bannerlord? And I don't think a lot of players are doing this. There are definitely some, probably some of the very enlightened fellas on our Discord. By the way, I don't go there very much because I'm busy making this content for you fellas, but the Discord is a great place to ask questions. Tons of knowledgeable guys in there. And look at this shit, right? Not a single companion got dropped. And again, they racked up kills, racked up all kinds of perk points. It's just a machine for power leveling companions. And a highly successful victory, right? We have some injuries, but fairly modest, right? Like it's kind of an easy way to both steamroll the enemy. I don't really give a shit. Sure, we'll help some whatever the fuck. Steamroll the enemy and power level companions. Now let's find that big it looked like it was going to be 500-600 at least. Where'd they go? They were in here somewhere. Maybe they ran. Oh, shit. Okay, well, that's a tall order, and they have a lot of archers. Let's do just a little bit of healing here, although what healing do we need to do, right? We have some units that need to heal, but our army, our companions, I don't know if you saw that. They're like all 100%, so... we have one guy who's a little bit banged up, and this is actually fine. Fuck it. Let's just take him on. You guys like a tough challenge here. We'll amp up a little bit here. I get a little bit more excited for more difficult challenges here. Now, it's dark. Let's see. We got to wait for some light. You guys can't see what's going on. It's not going to benefit you at all. But we're going to do almost exactly what we just did, right? We're going to do a little bit more dynamic tactics. And they might... Actually, we're not. We're going to do it different because of the ranged units. Actually, this is perfect. I'm going to be able to show you another way to power level companions. We're going to do a reverse slope decline defense here. I don't know if you saw it. There's about 600 archers in this army. Another perfectly sweet English gal that we're going to lay in the dirt after we massacre her army. Who are you? Well, we'd like to have some tea with you, young lady, and then we're going to smash your army into pieces for our benefit. Now, damn, that's not nearly the light I was hoping for, but we'll do the best we can here. Maybe it'll look a little bit better on the field. But again, look at this beautiful spot up here on the right. We're going to be able to put units up there. Now, this battle is going to be different, right? In theory, you could position the same way we just did, and we might have some success, but here's why I don't think that'll work very well. The enemy has lots of archers, right? If we just put archers over here on this left side, exposed, even with cavalry protection, I think eventually they'll get whittled down by just hundreds of archers shooting at them. I don't think that's a good recipe for success there. We'll see what it looks like. We'll see how many archers they have on the field, but I think we're going to have to adjust this to a different defensive structure. We don't have a lot of infantry. That's kind of a problem. We're probably going to have to use archers at some point. The 7th Division does have some crossbow, right? It's a mix of Battanian, Fianchamps, and crossbow. So those guys will sort of serve as infantry. Now, ironically, I'm not just worried about winning this battle, but I'm like obsessed with leveling up these companions because I know I'm making content for YouTube. So we're probably going to fight this a little bit different than I normally would because I'm going to try to essentially gamble and keep these 4th, 5th, and 6th Division guys for the last. Now, it'll function tactically because they're going to be up on that ridge. They're going to be shooting, and it's not like it's going to be a liability for the army. But I'm going to be a little bit, play it a little bit differently than I ordinarily would. At 4th Division, we would probably form a square ordinarily in this situation, right? As soon as we were out of ammo, we would use those crossbow offensively. There's an incredible sunrise coming over the hill here. I just wish it would get here already. I don't think time elapses, even with the new lighting. I wonder if the better, the time pass mod fella will make a mod for this new lighting because it'll be awesome with this lighting if it changes. If you've never known that, there's a mod where you can actually have the time ellipse on the battlefield in Bannerlord. It's a really cool mod. Now, of course, it's not for 1.3 though. All right, so the enemy does have a lot of archers. I'm changing my mind here. We're going to change to a reverse slope decline defense. It's not optimal because the enemy also has a lot of infantry, but I think it'll work, right? First, we have to buff it. Their cavalry. They're going to charge us no matter what, right? Anytime the enemy has lots of cavalry, they just throw them at you. It's just an absolute sacrifice, but they can kill troops too, right? They're going to be charging forward with spear cavalry at a high rate. We're going to stack them up on our cav lines here on the left, or excuse me, on our right, our left right there. We got skirmishers we can sort of put. We have a skirmisher cav division. The 3rd division is those beautiful Battanian skirmish jav skirmishers. Very effective, and they're also pretty good defensive units on a horse. Now, temporarily, we have the 4th, 5th, and 6th down here on the road, right in the middle of the valley, and that is because we want good angles on the enemy as they come over that ridge without being too exposed, right? Our 7th unit, I might put up on that high hill back there. Now, they're sending in horse archers. These guys spread out, boys. Hopefully you guys can see. The lighting is pretty good on my end, but I always wonder, you know, if you guys are watching this like on the subway on the way to work, or maybe nobody does that. I'm hoping you guys can see well. I mean, the lighting is majestic for sure, but if you guys can't see what I'm doing, it doesn't really benefit you. Now we've got a huge 7th division with crossbow and Fiend champs, and we're going to just let those guys work for a while. The early stages of this, our companions are not going to do that well. We might even hold fire with a few of those divisions because we're hoping to farm the later units of this battle. In other words, as the enemy brings forward more units, we will use that 4th, 5th, and 6th more. Right now they're just sort of supplementary. And take a peek here, do a little scouting, and snipe some horse archers here. Oh shit, I got hit right in the neck. You still take major damage from archers. This guy's got some pretty good armor, and I still got smoked right there. Archers are deadly now in Bannerlord, like they weren't before. Man, is that redundant. All right, now we wait, right? We keep our guys' heads down here. That division back here might be vulnerable, right? We can just put them in the valley as well. Reverse slope decline. One of the keys to getting the AI to cooperate is to make sure that you don't have units. You fuckers attacking my 5th division. Make sure that the enemy doesn't have any line of sight. Otherwise, they will just sit there and plink you with arrows till you're fucking bored and angry. I think boredom comes after angry. I don't know how that works. Guess it depends on your philosophy. Now, these guys threw a bunch of javelins in the ground, although they look like they have full javelin bags on their back. That might be the 6th. I wonder if I was careless with those guys. We'll move them up there to pick those javelins. Your javelin users will readily pick up javelins on the ground, right? Just like archers. And if you see a big pile of javelins like that, like this 6th division, let's send them up there. Go get your They're like little kids who threw all their toys on the ground. Sometimes you got to put these guys on a timeout and make sure that they're taking care of business here. Sloppy ass 6th division. Of course, the real slop is me. As the commander, I've got to make sure that they're on hold fire, right? You don't throw javelins until the enemy's sending hordes of troops. Now they're starting to creep up. But they're cautious, of course. We're going to get that 7th division down here in the valley, too. I'm going to need the firepower, right? We want to have at least some archers pulled back at some point, because when we pull back, and we're going to pull back, we're going to want to have at least somebody having an answer for the enemy pouring in. It's going to effectively be a rear guard, a ranged rear guard with a couple cavalry divisions. We'll probably sacrifice the cavalry divisions. This guy chasing me across the whole battlefield. Your wife told me you were divorced. All right. Try not to offend the guys who just got divorced last week or had their wife cheat on them. It's a thing. Apologies, man. Brother, I feel you. All right, here they come. You see them sticking their heads up over the hill? Fire, right? Open fire! And all your guys just start shredding everything. Most of their archers will not be able to shoot. And we have 2 cav lines and an infantry line facing them. So the death spam up in the right corner there should be 80% green, right? Classic reverse slope decline, even though we're badly outnumbered here. I mean, we're outnumbered basically 3-1, right? 4-1. And the death spam looks great. And the companions, look at that shit. They're still smoking people, right? Hopefully they don't get smoked. It's more important they survive the early stage here than get kills. But we'll take it, right? They're in there smoking cavalrymen. These horsemen are just getting blasted. We're gaining levels. There go those companions. I mean, we might get every companion get a level or 2 in this episode. Now we just wait, right? It's basically in a situation like this where the exchange looks like that. If the upper right corner is just bright green, damn, we lost that dipshit cavalry commander. He was probably like, oh shit, you guys are really playing rough, man. They ripped that horse and went flying through the air. That cavalry commander is probably looking at the sky or something. Look, it's a sunrise. I always figure he speaks like a stupid German shepherd. Oh, I got killed. There's always some dipshit in the army. It just seems like it never fails. Now we're taking a little bit of arrow fire. I see some arrows coming down here, but it sure looks bad for the enemy, right? So it's a matter of time before the infantry comes. So I think it's time to move the 5th and the 6th, or 4th and the 5th rather. We'll get the 6th tucked in there as well. The 7th is still down here shellacking the enemy, but we just took away about half or 2/3 of our firepower. So we've got to be prepared here to bail. But I want the enemy to charge, right? That first battle where we fought a lot less troops, we're hoping to have a very similar sequence down here in the valley. For people curious the difference here, why I'm fighting it differently, they have lots of archers. That first battle, they did not. And so the enemy's going to shoot us at range here. I think if I kept archers right up where I am, we would just get blasted, right? They'd have such a numerical advantage, we would have lost. We still might lose. I mean, they're going to have a lot of troops, but we're off to a great start, right? We're shredding their high-end troops. You can see their numbers are reducing literally like a magic trick. Their line keeps getting smaller. They keep shrinking it as the guy next to him gets smoked. And we have fiend champs, right? There's some guys who are like, ah, you're fiend champs. Well, we don't have 400. We have like 70. And we're outnumbered 4-1, so I'm all right with that. Now we've got 2 squares here and a cav line, and we're just trying to basically slow the enemy down. The 7th is still working. We're going to have to bail those guys back some. But the 4th and 5th is now going to become, and the 6th, is now going to become major killers here, right? Major flanking, just like that first battle. Also, if you're wondering why I'm moving the infantry in aggressively, I'm anticipating reinforcements. We're going to get at least some reinforcements. And you don't get reinforcements until you suffer some losses. Those infantrymen are out of ammo. It's better that they go out in a blaze of glory than get chased down while they're trying to reform. And get the 4th and 5th up high. I wish I had more cavalry, of course, to protect these guys, but we've got a little bit here. We'll back the 7th up. We want the 7th to basically be the bait. The 7th is down in the valley. They have some crossbow, a bunch of fiend champs, some cavalry protecting them. And now it's just a question of whether or not we have enough ammo. That's a lot of troops pouring down here. I'm going to protect our right. Of course, I'm basically going to be focused on the right. This 6th Division can back up and fire away. And charge with the 7th, and the reason you do that is those shields go up there, right? All those Sergeant Crossbow add themselves to the fray, and we've got carnage. Our cavalry died. But that's some good-looking death spam. And, of course, you guys have the luxury. I'm not going to be able to. I've got this square I'm trying to defend. You guys can watch the companion kills, right? They're going to be getting kills because they're shooting, again, down into enemy forces that are not really focused on them. Just bull rush their infantry. We've got more coming, though. The battle's hardly won yet. Let's see. That looks good. At some point or other, we're going to have to charge with that 4th Division because your crossbows run out of ammo before anybody else, and I can't just have them stand there even though they're companions. We've got an infantry line that's still holding, right? Now the enemy has middle-tier troops. These are Tier 3, Tier 4 archers. These guys are smoked. I can add a little bit of carnage to the backfield here. Charge with the 9th Division, right? The cavalry division. Oh, shit. It's 5th and 4th we're charging. So guys are low on ammo. At this stage, it's the nitty-gritty. If they go down here, they go down here. At least they've got a lot of kills. I bet they got, maybe our army got another 100 kills with our companions. And there's more work to be done, right? The enemy's still pouring in. But these are the good kind of units to fight. Right now we're facing recruits and tier 2, tier 3 infantry. I like that, right? We're going to be able to handle some shield infantry. They're still scorching these recruits too. If you're wondering why I reset, it's because they don't have shields, right? So these guys are getting smoked. No reason to charge them. Shoot them first. Okay, I like what I'm seeing here. The crossbow can now charge. The 5th and 6th division can follow behind him. And we've got a brawl. It's going to be close here at the end, but we've got way the better troops. And there's a fuck ton of enemies, but that's the kind of death spam I like to see. I'm seeing if any companions drop. I haven't seen any. I'm just sort of swinging my sword and watching the upper right. Urgil Frostbeard, kill. Isna the Spice Vendor, kill. And they're doing that in melee, right? I don't think there's anybody with ammo still. But we got the steamroller coming here. Oh shit, there's archers. Let's jump these guys next. Let's move one line and forward in a shield wall. They're either regrouping or routing. Let's encourage these boys to rout. You guys don't want any of this terrible force. Man, this army is becoming powerful. Now, it seems like an uber doom stack, this Battanian force. You know how long this campaign is? 15 hours. It's like maybe 20 at the most. We've done, I think, 12 or 13 episodes for this Battanian campaign. We've filmed almost every minute of the campaign, maybe 95%. And we've already got a doom stack. I mean, 120 losses, just heaps of upgrades. We'll look at that a little bit closer here as we wrap this episode up. I'm aware that with some kind of intro, this might be like 40 or 45-minute episode. We try to keep things succinct on the channel, but I always fail. It's a beautiful sunrise, though, to have more victory and more power leveling, and I think these are going to be great examples for you guys to see. You know, just the stunning power. We had one guy go down, and look at the upgrades. I mean, that is obscene. 13, 11. They easily killed 100 troops. Even the other captains, right, these guys that are leading the other armies, racked up some kills. Isna, the Spice Vendor, got some kills. 7 kills. She's not even a good warrior. She's a terrible fighter. She still got 7. Again, I think this it exquisitely shows the value of tactics with companions. So we're going to do more, and it dawns on me, as usual, I'm getting way ahead of a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys that are watching that are probably, maybe their tactical skill is just starting to get ahead of steam. We're going to do at least one episode with 2, 3, 4 battles with hyper simplified tactics and companions. In fact, I've been kind of working on some diagrams where I'm literally going to put in some state-of-the-art paint pictures that I draw up, essentially showing formation layouts that you guys can follow with very minimal movement that I think will still yield some success. So look forward to that. Of course, if you want to see more either from the channel or from this companion series, now's the time to subscribe. I promise at least one of these episodes a week. Might even be able to get out a couple, 3. So with all that said, please hit that like button on the way out, friends, and I will see all of you all next time.